Okay, imagine this for a second. It's pretty chilling. A new baby arrives, everything seems full of promise. But then, just days later, tragedy strikes. A newborn loses all five fingers on his right hand.
Wow.
And this isn't just a hypothetical, it's a real case from Chennai in India, and there's just been a major legal ruling on it. Welcome to the deep dive. We go through the sources, find the key details for you. Today, we're really getting into the specifics of this, well, heartbreaking case. The Chennai North District Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission. They awarded significant compensation, medical negligence.
Hmm.
So our goal here is to unpack all that, look at this crucial idea of informed consent, and sort of figure out what this whole thing means for, patient rights, trust in doctors, all of that.
Right. And for this deep dive, we've pulled together quite a bit. There's the detailed court judgment itself, which is obviously key. We've
Right.
also got insights from medical experts and neonatologists, for
Right.
instance, plus the perspective from consumer safety advocates and an interesting viewpoint from the logical Indian as well.
Got it. So our mission today really is to understand how. How could a procedure that sounds pretty standard lead to something so awful?
Yeah.
And what basic patient rights got, well, ignored here. We want you to walk away with a really clear grasp of just how complex this stuff is and why ethical medical practice is just non-negotiable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's start with the ruling itself. What are the hard facts?
Okay, so the bottom line from the commission, that's the Chennai North District Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, they've ordered a hospital in the city and a specific gynecologist to pay up. The amount is substantial, 33.75 lakh rupees.
33.75 lakh, and just for context, what's that roughly in US dollars?
It works out to approximately 40,000 USD, give or take.
$40,000. Wow. And the reason, it just hits hard. It's because that premature baby lost all five fingers on his right hand. Gangrene.
Yes, exactly. Gangrene.
When you hear a figure like that in a negligence case, it feels like more than just money, doesn't it? It feels like a statement about how serious the harm was.
It absolutely is.
Mm.
It's not just about covering costs. It's a legal acknowledgement of, well, severe failure and the immense life-changing impact on this child and his family.
Right.
And the breakdown reflects that too. Let's see, RS 23.65 lakh was specifically for the medical bills they racked up.
Okay, the direct costs.
Then another RS 10 lakh for the pain and suffering, which, how do you even quantify that?
You can't really.
And finally, RS 10,000 towards their legal costs. So yes, it underlines the gravity of it all. The court clearly saw the irreversible damage.
So let's get to the heart of it. The procedure involved was something called a cervical pessary.
That's right.
What exactly is that for anyone listening who doesn't know?
Well, simply put, it's a device. It's often used in pregnancies where there's a risk of premature birth.
Mhm.
The idea is it supports the cervix, helps keep it closed longer.
Sounds like something intended to help them.
Precisely. It's meant to be a helpful intervention. But,
Mm.
and this is the crucial point the commission focused on, they found the hospital and the doctor liable because they went ahead with this procedure without getting proper informed consent.
Ah.
And, importantly, without really having solid medical justification in this specific instance, according to the ruling.
Okay, so lack of consent is key. And tell me about the patient, the mother. What was her situation?
Well, the context is important here. She was only 22 weeks pregnant at the time,
Very early.
very early, and she was also undergoing fertility treatment. Now, sometimes fertility treatments can make the situation a bit more delicate, potentially increase sensitivity.
Right. So inserting this device, the pessary, what happened next?
The ruling suggests that the insertion itself actually triggered preterm labor. It happened very quickly, at just 24 weeks.
So the very thing it's meant to prevent.
Ironically, yes. In this case, it seems to have precipitated a premature birth. And the consequences for the baby were immediate and, well, severe.
Okay, so 24 weeks. That's incredibly premature. What happened to the infant right after birth?
The baby was immediately admitted to the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit, standard for such a premature birth. But it was there, in the NICU, that things took a devastating turn very quickly. The baby developed gangrene in his right hand.
Gangrene. That's tissue death, right? Lack of blood supply.
Exactly, a rapid loss of blood supply into the tissues in the hand. And tragically, it progressed to the point where amputation of all five fingers was unavoidable.
Oh, that's just horrific. So the procedure led to the premature birth, the birth led to the NICU stay, and then the gangrene. But the core failing, according to the commission, goes back further.
It goes back to the consent. The commission was very clear on this.
Okay.
They stated that neither the hospital nor the gynecologist properly explained why this procedure was supposedly an emergency. They didn't lay out the risks involved and the absolute crux of it. The mother's informed consent wasn't actually obtained, period.
Just
Not in any meaningful, informed way. And that's not just, a paperwork issue. It's a fundamental breach of patient rights, basic medical ethics.
It really drives home that informed consent isn't just signing a form someone shoves at you. It's a real conversation, understanding the risks.
Absolutely. It has to be, especially in high-risk situations like this one. We're talking about an invasive procedure during a pregnancy, already complicated by fertility treatment. The stakes couldn't be higher.
Is there an expert perspective on this, like from a neonatologist's point of view? How critical is that consent piece with premature infants?
There is. We found comments from Dr. Suresh Kumar. He's a neonatologist with the National Neonatology Forum of India. He spoke about this kind of vulnerability back in 2022. He said, and I'm quoting here, premature infants are especially vulnerable to complications. Early intervention should be cautiously balanced with thorough parental counseling.
Counseling.
Communication.
Exactly. He went on. Any procedure that may lead to premature delivery must follow strict consent protocols to safeguard both mother and baby. It's about protecting both. That quote really sums it up, doesn't it? Balancing intervention with careful, clear communication and consent. So given this, and Dr. Kumar's point, what are the wider recommendations coming from experts? Are there calls for systemic changes to stop this happening again?
Yes, definitely. There's a strong consensus among experts about needing really rigorous monitoring,
Mm-hmm.
especially for fertility treatments and high-risk pregnancies. They're pushing for standardized protocols, clear guidelines that everyone follows to minimize complications and make sure ethical practice isn't just an afterthought, but built into the system.
Standard protocols sound essential. It shouldn't depend on which doctor or hospital you happen to get.
Precisely. It's about moving from just reacting when things go wrong to proactively setting up safeguards, especially in these really sensitive medical areas.
Now, shifting gears slightly, but staying with the idea of safeguards, what about the legal side? Consumer safety groups must have a view on this.
They certainly do. Advocates really stress how vital it is to enforce patient rights, specifically under India's Consumer Protection Act of 2019.
Okay, the Consumer Protection Act. How does that apply here?
Well, that act is pretty powerful. It explicitly includes a right to safety for consumers, and that covers patients receiving health care. It forces healthcare providers to be transparent. It gives patients, like this family, a legal pathway to demand accountability when things like negligence occur.
So this family used that act effectively.
Yes, they did. Their successful claim really demonstrates how the act can work in practice to uphold standards and demand that transparency.
And there's a body, the CCPA, Central Consumer Protection Authority. They oversee this.
That's right. Their role is crucial in making sure these protections aren't just on paper,
Yeah.
that institutions actually respect them and meet their responsibilities.
And this seems quite telling. You mentioned neither the hospital nor the doctor involved has said anything publicly about this ruling.
Correct. As far as our sources indicate, there's been public silence from their end.
What does that silence say to you, especially in maternity care, where trust is so fundamental?
Well, it's concerning, isn't it? It raises big questions about accountability. You have this very serious judgment, this finding of negligence, and then nothing publicly acknowledged. It definitely highlights a gap, perhaps, between the legal finding and a public acceptance of responsibility. It doesn't help build trust, that's for sure.
No, it doesn't. The Logical Indian, which you mentioned as a source, they also had a take on this.
Yes, their perspective really echoed this need for transparency. They emphasized how absolutely vital transparent communication and respecting patient autonomy are, particularly during pregnancy, which is such a vulnerable time. It's not just a nice to have, it's ethically non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable, that feels like the right word. And behind all the legal points and medical details, we have to remember the family, the human cost.
Absolutely. The physical suffering of the child is obvious, but the psychological toll on the parents, it's immense. It's a constant, stark reminder of what medical negligence can actually mean in human terms. It ripples through lives.
It really does. You think about the hopes they had, and then this. Are there adequate support systems for families going through this kind of trauma? Or is that another gap?
That's a really important question. Often the focus is on the legal and medical aspects, but the long-term psychological support,
Yeah.
it's often lacking or hard to access.
Yeah. This whole case feels like such a powerful call. Accountability, yes, to prevent it happening again, but also for just basic empathy. embedding ethics into every single
It
interaction.
really boils down to trust, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Building it, maintaining it, recognizing that when people are vulnerable, they deserve the absolute highest standard of care and communication.
So, wrapping this deep dive up, what's
Hmm.
the biggest takeaway here? For me, it's just how critical that informed consent piece is.
Hmm.
It's not just a box to tick on a form, it's like the bedrock of ethical care. It's fundamental to trust between a patient and their doctor.
Absolutely. It's the foundation. Without it, the relationship breaks down and terrible outcomes like this can happen. And maybe that leads to a question for you listening right now, thinking about this case. How does knowing about something like this potentially empower you, as a patient, now or in the future? How can you be a better advocate for your own right to safety? How do you push for that transparency in your healthcare?
Yeah, that's a really practical thought, and maybe a broader one, too. What's our collective responsibility here? How do we all contribute to building a healthcare system where empathy, ethics, where those things truly are non negotiable? Something to think about. We hope this deep dive gave you some valuable insights into a really important and, frankly, tragic case.